What's up, all my Ewok tribbles, droids, and Wookiees? It's Anna, also known as That Star Wars Girl, and in today's video, I'm actually going to be talking about Star Trek, because Star Trek Picard Season 3 finale came out last night, and oh my gosh, I gotta talk about it, and here is my review. Now, if you guys are new to my channel, welcome, hello, hi, I'm Anna. I don't do those like intensely edited scripted videos. I'm severely dyslexic, and they're not fun to make in any way. I much more prefer just doing my stream of conscious and talking, and you know, people that subscribe seem to enjoy it, so that's the way I do things around here. So if you're looking for something like that, this is not the place to be. But if you're looking to be entertained and kind of have a stream of consciousness and, you know, a little bit of comedy, then welcome. You guys are going to enjoy this. So let's get right into this. Oh, spoilers, spoiler warning, spoilers. Let's 52 seconds in. Hey, that's a new score for me. But yeah, spoiler alert. If you don't want spoilers for this episode, if you haven't seen it yet, you want to be surprised, don't watch any further. Okay, I think that's a good spoiler warning. All right, so everyone lived. Nobody died except for like the Borg Queen and stuff like that. So I was happy. I was happy that everyone lived, but this episode actually reminded me a lot of The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, where there was just like the big thing happens, like they drop the ring into Mordor, and then like it's like the ending, and you think it's the ending, and then there's another ending, and then there's another ending, and then there's another ending, which isn't bad. It just got to the point where like the last quarter of the episode was endings, and so I didn't get, like, I was so excited like the entire time, but then by the time it was the end, I was like, oh, okay, my excitement has kind of calmed down, so I wasn't left like the last time I did a review. You guys saw I was like jumping out of my seat and I was freaking out, like, and lots of energy, whereas this is like all of the energy, all of the things are happening, and it's like, and then it's like, okay, I'm at this high, and then it's like relaxing you down, and you know, then there's a post-credit scene, which we will talk about. But so that's the thing about this. There was a lot of endings, and it, like, even the Enterprise D, the ship, got its own ending. Like that's how it went. I was like, okay, we're doing this. Like, we're literally tying every possible loose end. So that way, if somebody else that doesn't like Star Trek or has never watched Star Trek gets their grimy hands on it, they can't, you know, we just don't watch past this. You know, it'll leave you with that warm, fuzzy feeling inside. But so in this episode, they of course go after Jack, who is with the Borg Queen and the Borg Cube that's actually inside of Jupiter. Yay! We get to go see Jupiter, and that's what all the red smoke was, because it was in the Jupiter storm. Okay, so Seven and Raffi are still on the ship. They're on the Titan, and you know, they got to take on everyone that's under the age of 25 and got assimilated by the Borg through the transporters and all of that. So they're trying to figure that out, and of course everyone else is on the Enterprise, and it's like, you're seeing everyone at their stations and doing their thing. So they're able to track Jack to where the Borg are. So they basically go to the Borg Cube, which is in Jupiter, and it's that moment of who's gonna stay on the ship and who's gonna go down on the away mission. And so we get to see Jean-Luc Picard go on to the Borg Cube. And so I was thinking the whole time, I'm like, it's gotta be Data, it's gotta be Data. And even Data stands up and he's like, it's gotta be me, because remember what happened with the Borg in First Contact, and she was all about assimilating Data or doing weird stuff to Data and like putting the skin on his face and all of that. And then Picard and everyone's like, no, you gotta stay here because we need you. We need you on the ship, because if something bad goes down there, we need you up on the ship to get us out of this situation. And so Data does not go on the away mission. So it is Worf, Riker, and Picard that go down to the Borg Cube. And I was like, everyone that's like going down there, I'm like, oh my God, you're gonna die. They don't, spoiler, but I was just thinking that I'm watching it. And yes, I had to watch this on my phone because the brightness, I mean, it's so good, but guys, I don't know if you guys have to deal with this issue, but when it is on my computer or when it is on my big TV, I got to get my glasses on. I got to turn off all the lights in my house. I got to turn the brightness on my TV all the way up. And then like after, you got to readjust everything, and it's like kind of a pain. So it honestly, I get the best clarity on my phone, and I just turn everything up and I just lay there, and I get to lay in bed. And that's the greatest thing. I'm in bed, I have my puppy with me, and I'm just like sitting there. The only thing that sucks is like I don't eat in bed. Like, I know some people like to eat in their bed. I don't eat in my bed. So I'm like, if I want snacks, I got to get up and stuff. But this entire thing, I'm like, just like totally into it. So I got my phone and I'm like, ah! And I'm just holding my phone and my dog's like looking at me. She's like, I'm trying to sleep, human. And I'm just like, ah, and I was freaking out. But so, okay, so they get onto the Borg cube, and we get to see the Borg queen, and it's the OG Borg queen. They brought her back, and she looks all crazy, like gross and everything. And I'm like, ugh. Like, I always thought it was kind of weird that they tried to make her, like, sexy. I don't know if you guys got that vibe, but whenever I watch the Borg queen episodes, and she's, like, all close to Data, and she's all doing this stuff, I'm like, why, you know, they're giving her that, like, oh, I'm gonna, like, seduce you to the dark side, like, literally seduce you into being assimilated kind of stuff. And I was like, all right, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a girl. I was always like, okay, this is extra creepy because she's trying to seduce you and she's like a monster. It's kind of like, you know, the fish in like Finding Nemo, or I guess in real life too. But it's like the fish, like they attract you with the light and then they eat you. Like that's what it kind of gave me the vibes of, and that stuff like just weirds me out. So it helped. It helped with her creepiness. But so in this, like she's like just disgusting. Like you see half of her face and the other one's all mutated, and the Borg that are on the ship are like getting decomposed into the ship because she's using it to feed herself, and it's like, cannibalism. It's like Donner Party 2.0 right here. Well, I guess like in the futuristic, it'd be like 2000.0. But anyways, beside the point. So on the Borg cube, obviously Picard's like, all right, guys, I did everything I was supposed to by the book Starfleet, but now I gotta be a dad because he's gotta go get Jack, and then Worf and Riker have to go and turn off the thing that's blocking and like control or sending out all of the messages to everyone in Starfleet, because all of the Borg that took over all the Borg ships, they're destroying the planetary shields for Earth, and they're gonna go and basically assimilate everyone on Earth. And so they gotta go turn off that machine because that is bad, totally bad that the Borg would assimilate the entire Earth. So Picard is like, all right, guys, you go do that. I got to go get my boy. And of course, Beverly is up on the ship and she's like reading the bio readings and everything. And she's like, if you go in this one dead area, I can't see you. I can't get you. We can't beam you out. Like nothing. Absolutely nothing. And so Picard's gotta go. So Picard goes and sees Jack, and Jack, oh my gosh, he's like plugged into the Borg, and he's got the cutest face thing. He's basically in his dad's old suit, and Picard starts talking to the Borg queen. She's like, no, he's mine. We planted this seed. He's the key to our evolution. It's not just assimilation, it's evolution. We have to evolve to be able to assimilate everything. And it's like, ultimate evil. And so while Picard's dealing with that, excuse me, Riker and Worf have to go and turn off the machine, right? And so while they're down there, they're going past all the creepy Borg stuff, and then guess what happened? As they get to the machine, and the Borg queen, because, you know, she's plugged into everything, she can sense that they're trying to fuck with the thing. So what happens? The zombified looking Borgs wake up and they gotta fight them, and we see Worf and Riker fight the Borg again. And there's this great line. So Worf gets shot because he's fighting the Borg, and of course they're like, their shields like adapt to stuff, but he's fighting him with his fucking sword, and then of course he gets shot, and so Riker has to pick up his sword, and he's like, he's like, I never knew this thing was so heavy. And then Worf's like, do this, and like there's a phaser in the sword, so he takes out the phaser and he shoots the Borg, and he's like, why didn't you just do that from the beginning? And Worf's like, because sword fighting is fun. And it's like, I totally am like paraphrasing what they actually said. I'm sorry, I don't have one of those memories where I can remember every single line that is said, but that was the gist of it. It was great. You should watch it. There you go. Perfect. Go watch it, because I am not basically a copy and paste human. I can't copy and paste exactly what was there. I'm just telling you what I saw and how I enjoyed it. But anyways, back to it. So on the ship, they're like, okay, this thing, this transmitter that's controlling everyone, okay, it's in this little area and we got to turn it off. But the thing is, if we explode it, like if we shoot it, and this reminded me a lot of Star Wars, because they're talking about where it is in the ship, and it reminded me of A New Hope. when they're like, all right, we got to destroy this one thing in the Death Star, and then the entire thing is going to blow up. That's basically what happens. They're like, okay, we got to destroy this transmitter, but it's in the heart of the Borg cube. So once we shoot it, then you got less than a minute or you're all going to fucking die. And so Deanna's just like, if we do this, and Geordi, like, they're all looking at each other, and Deanna's just like, if you do that, everyone down there is going to die. And it's either you kill everyone on the Borg cube, or everyone on Earth dies. And so while all of this is happening, guess what? Seven and Raffi, they already took the ship. And this is one thing that I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. But there's like the couple, the three other people that are over the age of 25. One of them he's like, I'm just a cook. I shouldn't be your pilot. And she's like, well, you took pilot lessons. And in my head, I'm like, I'm pretty sure every single person in Starfleet knows how to pilot at least a shuttlecraft. You know, I think that that's a standard. And then I'm also like, why? Like, okay, I get it. Yes, under circumstances, it would be helpful to have somebody with a culinary background. But I'm like, they have replicators. Why is this guy's only purpose on a starship to be a cook? I was like, that part was like my biggest, like, really. And he was the only other character that like got to talk. And I was like, I don't know. It just seemed kind of weird to me. But anyways, back to it. So they figure out, they're like, all right, the way that the Borg are doing things is by being able to see us. And so they're like, hey, guess what we have on this ship? Oh my God, is it a cloaking device? Yes, it is. Oh, and by the way that they got everyone off, like the Borg that were on the bridge, they attached like transporters to all of their guns, or phasers, excuse me. So when they shot them with their phasers, it transported them to, the transporter bay, and they locked them all inside. So as you see, like, they're trying to pull apart the door, and this is a key moment because I forgot about it, and then I was like, where is everyone? And it was like, oh yeah, it's a skeleton crew, so that's why there's not as many people. That's why they don't have as many people to fight them as they would have if they hadn't transported everyone off and had a skeleton crew. That was the episode with Ensign Rowe. So that played it apart, because at first I was like, really, it was really bothering me, and then I was like, aha, kind of moment. So Raffi and Seven are on their cloak ship going through all of the other ships, messing with them, so that way they can't destroy the array, and so that way Earth can be protected. But they do eventually fail, and then they find out they have like the beacon sign that the Enterprise D is over by Jupiter. They're like, what the hell, the Enterprise D, that old ship, what are they doing? And then Seven's like, oh my gosh, they're off there doing this, and we're doing this. We got to defend the ship, and we got to defend Earth while they're out there doing that, and they got to fix it. We just got to buy them time. And so they start doing their thing and like just destroying everything. And so back onto the Borg cube, Captain Picard, so Worf and Riker go back, and Captain Picard is there with Jack, and you know what he does? He's like unplugging Jack, because Jack's got all those needles in him, and he's in like the Borg mind, and he's doing stuff with the Borg mind and like controlling everyone. He's like, this is how we get peace, by basically assimilating everyone and making everyone do all of that Borgy stuff. And so Picard starts unplugging him, and then Picard's like, I've spent 35 years running from the Borg, and then he stabs himself in the neck and he plugs into the Borg, and he just talks to Jack, and he's trying to convince Jack to come out of the Borg, and he's like, you gotta come out, Jack, you gotta come out. And he does, they have the father-son bonding moment. It's so sweet. Remember how I told you I was like, freaking out? It was like intensity. And while that's going on, we got the stuff back on the Enterprise where they're like, oh my God, we gotta destroy the thing, the Star Warsy thing. We're like, we gotta destroy the thing. And then Data's like, Geordi, you gotta let me do it. And Geordi's like, there's no way, Data, there's no way. Like, and Data's like, trust me, Geordi. And he like does the puppy dog eyes. He's like, trust me, Geordi, just trust me. And it's like, and they have this moment where he's like, okay, Data, I gotta trust you. And so Data takes the Enterprise through the Borg ship. And remember what I said? This is a lot like Star Wars. Well, yeah, it was a lot like Star Wars. So he takes, and this one's more like Return of the Jedi when they got the Millennium Falcon going through the Death Star. Okay, so they got the Enterprise, and they're going through the Borg cube, and they're gonna shoot it. And then Deanna's like, I know how to save them. And so as they're doing that, Picard convinces Jack to come out, and then the Borg Queen's like, rah! And they're like, we gotta go. And the Enterprise breaks through the ceiling as they're destroying the beacon thingy, and Jack is like taking off everything, and they beam them up onto the Enterprise and take off, and the Borg cube is destroyed, and everyone lives. And I was sitting there on my phone, I'm like, everyone lives, oh my God. And they all get to reunite. Everyone's hugging and kissing. Beverly goes and like hugs Jack. Deanna's like, oh, Riker. And Worf. So LaForge is on the captain's chair. Data's sitting next to him, and Worf just goes and sits down, and he does the most dad thing that all dads do. He sits in the chair and he immediately falls asleep and starts snoring, and I just started laughing, and I was like, oh my god. I can't wait for my dad to watch it, because I'm like, that's you. That is you to AT, Dad. And so remember how I said it's like an Indian and then an Indian and an Indian, and like everyone's happy. And then I was like, oh my God. And then everyone that's like the Borg with Seven and all of them destroying Earth, like trying to destroy Earth, all of a sudden they all snap out of it and they were like just breaking through. So Seven was like about to have to shoot LaForge's daughter, Sydney. And then all of a sudden they're like, their eyes clear up and all the weird Borg stuff on their face goes away. And then Sydney's like, what did I do? And Seven's just like, it's okay. Everything's like, and then you think it's gonna end, because it's like, oh, they did it, they saved the day, they saved Earth, they saved the Federation, they finally defeated the Borg, yay. And then it's like, yay, you're on cloud 9, and it's like, okay, it's over. And I was so sure that Picard was gonna die, and he didn't, which I'm very, very happy about. And so they take the Enterprise back to the museum where Geordi was. Or is that the museum, or is that Geordi's other facility? I don't exactly remember. I remember seeing the museum and I was like, hey, look at all the ships. I'm pretty sure it's the museum. But anyways, they're back, and then Geordi is like, they're talking, and this is when I thought it was the end. I was like, okay, this is the ending. But then I was like, oh, there's a lot of credits then, because there's like about this much left. Like when the episode's like this long, it shows you on your little phone, and I was like, oh, there's like this much left. I wonder what they're gonna do in that much. A lot of credits. And it's Geordi and Picard and Riker, and they're saying goodbye to the Enterprise, and they're all talking, and they're just like, yeah, it's like history, man. Like it was the ending for the Enterprise D, and I was like, oh, that's so nice. They gave the ship an ending, like, oh. And this is when it starts becoming like Lord of the Rings, where it's like, oh, that was such a sweet ending, and then it's like another ending, and it's like, oh, okay. So that was like the Return of the King. Like there's Aragon. He's becoming, Aragorn. Why did I say Aragon? Oh, you know why I said Aragon? Because Picard's son played Aragon in that terrible movie. Oh my God. It's like when somebody doesn't read the book, like somebody told somebody like a really bad version of the book and then they made a movie on it. That's Picard's son. That's how I knew him. I was like, so Aragorn, excuse me. So when Aragorn like gets crowned and like, it's like, oh, and we, and they battle all the hobbits. That was the Enterprise ending. And then we get to see Jack's ending. And so we got Picard and Beverly, and they're taking Jack, and he's in a Starfleet uniform, and they're like, oh, we're so proud of you that like Starfleet has like, basically pushed your career. They're like, go. And he's like, yeah, the family name carries weight. And then Picard, oh, and I have to say this because I forgot to say it earlier, Picard had this, when he convinced Jack to come out of the Borg, he said this thing where he's just like, I thought that it was all enough. But he's like, no, the missing piece of me was you. And I was like, because Picard never wanted children. And so it was a big character moment. I was like, I'm crying now just thinking about it. But I was like, the missing piece of his heart that he never knew, and he got it, and that was what convinced him to come out. And so him saying that, like, so he's saying, oh, it doesn't matter in names. He's like, we're both very proud of you. You're doing this on your own, and you know what? I can't wait to see like your career. You're gonna be great. And then they're like, he's like pacing because they could tell he's nervous, and he's like, I'm not nervous for me. I'm nervous for you. And then they pull out because he's asking what ship are you assigned to, and he's like, oh, it's the Titan. He's like, actually, Dad, because of everything that you did, they reinstated the Enterprise, so the Titan is now the Enterprise. And guess who's the captain of the Enterprise? My girl 709. She's the captain. And then Raffi is the first officer, so I know all of the crazy people that were mad that they broke them up because they made them lesbians. Now they're all probably happy, but I mean, can't have relations like that, so it's like they're probably gonna be mad about it, and we're gonna see that all on Twitter. But I was like, oh my God. So Jack gets to be 7 of 9's counselor, which I thought was kind of funny because he's like on the deck and he's like, oh, so what am I going to do? Am I going to do this? I'm going to do this. Where, like, which station do you want me at? And she's like, you're going to sit right next to me and you're going to be my advisor. And so I was like, and I was like, oh, that's like perfect for a spinoff. 7 of 9 is the captain. I'm sure Jerry Ryan would do it. I'm sure. And then Raffi is her first officer, and Jack is, her her counselor, her advisor. And I was like, okay, interesting. And it's funny because he's an ensign. So I was like, I wonder if he's going to be stuck as an ensign forever like Harry Kim was. Or maybe he'll actually get like promotions and stuff. We'll see. But so I was like, oh, that's like such a cute ending because they go off into space. And I was like, oh. And then there's another ending where they're like all at the bar and they're all drinking. Or no, excuse me. First, it's Deanna talking with Data, and Data's like talking all about his feelings, and she's like, oh god, Data, we went past our first hour again. And then he's like just telling her about all of his feelings, and she's sitting there like, Data, she's looking up vacations on her little iPad. And then finally Data gets like the memo and they go to leave, and then Riker's there, and him and Diana are like, and it was sad because earlier he's like, I'll see you. I'll be with our boy Deanna since their boy died. And it's like, oh, but now they're all together. And then they go to the bar. And then everyone's at the bar and everyone's drinking. Picard's pouring the booze and it's at Guinan's. And they're like, oh, Guinan wants us to leave. And then Picard is like, he pulls out a card and it ends with all of them playing poker. And it's like, oh, and Picard wins, spoiler alert. And then like as they're all playing poker and I'm like, oh, and it's like all the friends and it's like the reunion and it's like, oh, this is like an episode of TNG and it's like, oh. And then like the credits start rolling and it's like the music, it is like, and you just watch them as they're all playing poker. And then I'm like, oh my God, that was another ending, but it was so sweet. And I'm like, I watched it and I just didn't, even though the credits were rolling, I didn't want to stop watching them play cards. So I didn't know there was an end credit scene. And so the end credit scene is Jack in his quarters and he puts up a picture of his parents. And I was like, that must have been, it must have been a photo of Gates McFadden and Patrick Stewart from like a premiere or something. Cause he's in like, they're young and he's like in a tuxedo and she's in a dress. And I was like, oh yeah, that must be from a premiere. So I was like, oh, that's cute. And as he's setting everything up, guess who shows up? Guess who shows up? If you guess Q, you are right. So Q shows up and he's talking to Jack and Jack's like, I thought you were done. I thought humanity's trials were over. And he's like, yeah, your dad's trials are over, but yours have just begun. And it's like, oh shit. And so last year I went to like the Boston Fan Expo and I took a picture with Q and like I took a selfie and I feel really bad because he asked me if I liked Picard and I was like, I hate it with every fiber of my soul. But obviously that was before season 3 came out. But I was like, oh my gosh, like my picture actually kind of predicted the future. Isn't that crazy? Like Q is on 7 of 9 ship. I was like, oh my God, foreshadowing crazy. And then that's how it ended. And I was like, But yeah, guys, that is my review for Picard season 3, the grand finale. Overall, as a show, I really enjoy it. Just pretend like season 1 and 2 don't exist. You do not need to watch them. They are abominations and they should never ever be made. And I just ignore them. You'll do yourself a huge favor. Just pretend that they don't exist. Never watch them. Don't even acknowledge their existence. Season 3 is the only season that exists of Star Trek Picard. And if you do that, you'll have complete and utter enjoyment and your heart will not be broken. And that's what this is. It was complete and utter enjoyment. It was bringing like a nice reunion to everyone and, you know, giving everyone their justice after what was done to them before and, you know, just sending them off. And it just leaves you with this warm, fuzzy feeling inside with, you know, hope for the future. And I really, really hope that the dude that made this show continues to be in charge because he actually knows what he's freaking doing. And he actually cares about these characters and he's actually watched the damn show. And I know he worked on Voyager and Deep Space Nine and Enterprise. So I'm like, oh, somebody with the actual experience. That's great. Keep Alex Kurtzman and that weird Shaban dude away from this because this was fantastic. And if you guys don't like the fan service, that's fine. I really enjoyed it. And after the few years that I've been dealing with, you know, these people ruining Star Wars and ruining Star Trek, I needed this and I very much enjoyed it. And this is something that if you watch it just all together as, you know, one piece, you can go back and rewatch it. It's like a long movie. It's like watching Lord of the Rings, the extended versions. It's like, except maybe, you know, binge watching all 3 of them, the extended versions. That's kind of what this is like. And I enjoyed it and I'm really happy that it was made and I'm happy that it exists. And I'm really hoping, like, it seemed like all of the actors, like the OG actors all got that justice. because it was great. Oh, and I did forget. I'm remembering now because I was about to say, like, I wish Janeway could have, like, been in it because Tuvok was in it. Tuvok is actually, Seven's, like, resigning because she thinks that she's getting kicked out of Starfleet, so she just resigns. And then Tuvok plays her a message from Captain Sean. He's just like, when we get back from this, you know, this mission, or not mission, but like when Picard and Riker showed up on the ship, before that, he had submitted her, you know, everyone's reviews, and he's like, I recommend that she be, you know, promoted to captain. And so Tuvok gets to promote 7 of 9 to captain. It was like, and so if they do make a spin-off with 7 as a captain of the Enterprise, isn't that crazy? 7 of 9 gets to be captain of the Enterprise. And with, you know, Jack and Raffi, I really would hope that, you know, Janeway would make her way back. And even Chakotay, I don't know why Chakotay, like, where did Chakotay go? What's going on? Even the doctor and everyone, like, where's B'Elanna? Where's her and Paris and their daughter? Like, where is everyone? I want to see that. So because they got to bring justice and, like, a nice reunion and closure to the crew of the Enterprise, that would really be cool if they got to do it with the entire cast of Voyager 2, but who knows if any of them would be willing to do it. But yeah, I know this is a very long review, but that's just my thoughts and my feelings on everything. And I'm very, very happy. But guys, let me know what you thought about all of this down below in the comment section. If you guys liked this review, please smash the like button. If you didn't, that's okay too. Thank you so much for watching this far through. I hope you enjoyed the way my mind works and my ramblings and my feelings, because I like sharing them with you. But anyways, everyone, thank you again so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And may the force be with you, because we are really, really, really going to need it. Bye, everyone. Once again, everyone, thank you so much for supporting my channel, my content. And if you guys would like to see more, I actually have a gaming channel over on Twitch. And if you guys are interested in that, you guys can go follow me over there. I play fun games like Elden Ring and KOTOR, and I'm going to be playing much more games in the future. So go over there, give it a follow, and check it out. Also, if you guys want to keep up to date on my cosplay endeavors and behind the scenes posts, go follow me over on my Instagram. It's thatstarwarsgirl77. I post fun photos and behind the scenes stuff that you guys don't see anywhere else on the internet. And last but not least, if you guys would like to support the channel and my content, go over to my Etsy store for merch. I have cosplay posters. My old cosplay calendars are available there, as well as prints of my original oil paintings, and more is going to be added in the future. So continue to check up on that. If you guys have seen something that you like, that you would like to purchase, all of that is available over on my Etsy. Everything that I've just shown you is linked in the description of this video. So go check it out if you're interested. And guys, once again, thank you so much for watching my channel and my content, and have a great rest of your day.